It's close to 9 o'clock. At least it will be after I shoot the video. The sun is up until 10:30 and then is up again at, starts to get light at 3:30 in the morning, and the sun is up above the horizon by 5 and it gets lighter and lighter. I woke up this morning at 4 a.m. and it was broad daylight. We are, of course, quite a long way north. Typical English garden. I figured a video would be a neat way to show a late evening just before I travel back. It's probably 65 degrees, something like that. The high during the day in the last few days has been 68 and the low at night is like 55. Just a great cool place to be. Welsh Hills in the different distance. Llangollen is middle of the field of view. Dinas Bran, and then the road curves up World's End up onto the moor at the top. Taking some photographs. I think I'll stick those photographs into this video at the end. And then off to the airport tomorrow morning. Very green, right? Midsummer. Everything's green and lush. A lot of people ask what I miss about England. Of course I miss nothing about England because I'm always here, or often here. But this is what I miss if I were to miss anything. Gnarly old English oaks. Great big overgrown hedgerows. And of course the stinging nettles and hawthorn and brambles and thistles. These oaks are very old, but they're not big. English oaks don't grow very big, but one this old could be a couple of 100 years. Very dense, very hard wood. That's why the English oak was so successful in making ships. Country lanes that are too small for 2 cars. This one's a big road. And then what are called passing places. Probably every quarter of a mile there's just simply a widening of the road. So whoever's closest to one of these wide bits, they stop and let the person come in the other direction. Silent at this time of the day. No traffic. I'm not going to go far down here, just a little reminder of the... So if anyone doesn't know what stinging nettles are, these are all nettles. And you do not want to touch them. If you thought poison ivy was bad, you should touch an English stinging nettle. It doesn't last as long. You'll lose the effect within hours. In fact, not even multiple hours. Within 1 hour, the effect would be gone. But you touch that anywhere, and it itches, and then hurts, and then disappears. But as a kid, you know, building a den or wanting to climb through that little spinny, as we called it, you get you've got wellies on, you've got jeans on, you've got a sweater or a coat on. You put your hands in your pockets, you make sure there's no skin available, and push your way through. You always make sure you don't lift your legs too high, because you don't want your jeans to ride up in case you've got stickers on, because then your ankles will get just clobbered. And almost in every little corner that can't be mowed or ploughed, there's a small piece of woodland that grows up. This is pasture land for dairy cows, so it's got the typical cow bare patches. Another really nice oak. Fantastic climbing trees. Public footpaths everywhere, dating back thousands of years. That's what that sign means. It probably sets off down this old cartway. It may cross that hedge, but I don't see a stile. So if it did cross the hedge, there would be a stile right here. And the arrow suggests it goes off down there and then across the fields. Just a typical English lane. Late summer's evening. Just 100 yards further, 2 footpaths, disappearing in 2 different directions. It maintains the right for every Englishman to go to work and to come home from work and to walk, you know, to the local village, even though the land is owned by some member of the landed gentry. Every old walkway is preserved, and there are groups of people that walk them at weekends to keep them open. And some date back, you know, as far as time has been recorded. And they dot across every part of England, maintained religiously, also fought occasionally by farmers, but the farmers never win. The walkways are always kept open. Field of corn, obviously not the large husk corn that we think of in the States. English corn, wheat. Barley is similar, but that's a field of wheat. Slightly blue stalks. Looks like it's ready for harvest. I'm not sure. It's a major intersection, right? Major intersection of major roads. Nancy Felin and Millbrook, Overton, Hollybush. Unusual to have Wrexham marked on a sign like that. Little lanes leading to little places, usually half a mile or maybe two before the next intersection, before the next sign. And in the good old days before GPS, those directions is what got you to where you had to go. Follow this lane to the big old oak and take a right and a left at the pond. You know, it was lists of things like that that got us all around. Came back from Telford today entirely on lanes like this just because we could. Missed the major roads and just did a quick check to make sure everything is the way it should have been. And it was. That's what I like. Everything exactly the way it used to be. Nothing changing is a good thing. Fields of corn this year. 5 years ago, this was dairy. Not this particular field, I don't think. But most of the open fields around here were dairy. Just no money in milk anymore. Hedges everywhere you look, taller than a car. So of course you're driving ignorant of what's the other side of the hedge. I had a good run yesterday. Ran these lanes for about an hour. It's really only running or walking that you get an appreciation of just how different things are. I don't know if the hedge is necessarily representative of England, but you certainly don't get hedges in many other places. Wild blackberries. I don't see any fruit, but the flowers have just turned. You'd get a blackberry bush about every 100 yards or so. Down here it's every 10 yards. As a kid, you'd be walking home, grabbing as much as you can, filling your face, turning your hands and your pockets black with the juice. Some of these trees are remarkably old, yet tiny, because they sit in a harsh spot. I don't know specifically about these two, but many times you get an oak that grows very slowly. Windy spot quite often, a sandy spot, they don't like sand. All you could ever see of it was the top of the timbers that stood above those hedgerows. And one day, a family member persuaded the local council to give permission, which was a very rare thing, to cordon off a corner of a field that had never been built in before. And they took the timbers down and reconstructed the old house. I'm not sure if it today represents the same size and shape that it did when I remember the timbers standing alone before he infilled the walls. I think it was the same as what I remember of the timber structure. So now it's nestled in a little corner of this field. I put a couple of still pictures in. The owner let me take a picture or two and told me the story. It was originally built in 15 something, but he's not sure when, but he's pretty sure it was before 1600, which is common. Old oak timber frame buildings around here, they have lasted. There's one other one that is similar to that about 5 miles away that lasted probably the same sort of period of time. And all of these houses were built as farmhouses. The story of that one is that the animals live downstairs and the humans live upstairs, all in a tiny, tiny little place, trying to eke out a living, probably on a few acres of land given to a retired farm worker, perhaps, at this larger farm. It's just after 9 now. The sun's starting to go down. I should be back within half an hour. Just catch the sunset. Well, that was a densely grassed field before it was all cut for hay. Good grief. I don't think I've ever seen so many bales per acre. Would have been impressive to see the grass standing. Three farms on this loop, each probably with a mixture of corn and hay, and 10 years ago it was dairy. There were potatoes that were grown in one of these fields, but that's going back even further. A lot of the farmhouses are built in a similar style. I love them. Endless outbuildings as always. Way too many for modern day farming. Silage bales lined up outside. Nice old brick buildings. Most folks around here seem to focus on silage rather than hay. These are the older fields that were to pasture, because you can tell how small they are, to help with the rotation of the livestock. Most of the hedgerows have been torn out now to create much larger fields. There'll be a house every half a mile for a long way around this area. We probably have a 20 square mile No, I don't mean 20 square mile, I mean 400 square mile. A 20 by 20 mile square. That is very rural right here. Just on the Welsh borders. It's just shortly before 10. The sun is just going down. I'd say sunset will be about 10:15 or so. Probably another 20 minutes. Pigeons are all going to roost. Everything's tucking itself up for the night. So that hill over there is as far as the Romans could get. They conquered the land and they marched into those hills. They got attacked by every naked Welshman wearing a pot of woad. And they never settled Wales.